Rob G, we had another. We thought we were done with these PED suspension in Major League Baseball. The rules have been set. They're pretty steep. One time you get a strike and 80 games. Another time you get 162 games, and there it is. We have another person in the Major League Baseball being suspended.
That's right. Tough scene for Braves DH Jurickson Profar, who at one point was considered the new hotness in Major League Baseball.
He was. I mean, for real.
He was going to be the guy, the next phenom, the next Juan Soto, the next. I mean, speaking of another guy who was popped for PEDs, your guy in San Diego, Fernando Tatis Jr.
Who was the face of baseball?
You know what I mean?
Right?
Like he Profar was going to be one of those ones.
You weren't here, Kelvin, but that was they said I had a terrible.
He was Aaron Judge before Aaron Judge for Rob Parker.
I had a terrible man crush on Tatis.
I see it in your eyes.
Profar, who already last year was suspended 80 games for testing positive for a PED, tested positive again for another PED.
Less than a year, right?
Less than a year, which means he is now subject to a 162-game suspension by Major League Baseball. He will forfeit the entirety of his $15 million salary. He'll be ineligible for the postseason. He'll also be ineligible for the upcoming World Baseball Classic. All bad all the time for Profar. But guys, it got me thinking. We just mentioned two guys who were both up and coming in Major League Baseball. Profar, Tatis Jr. got popped for PEDs. And in the case of Profar, is basically going to derail his entire career. Like, that's going to be his calling card now forever. Tatis Jr. was on a trajectory to be one of those ones, and now he's kind of an afterthought, partly because he tested positive for PEDs, and now there's always going to be a little asterisk next to his name.
And as good as he's been since he came back,
nobody views him in the same way.
They don't view him the same way. He doesn't get the juice. He just
he got the juice. He got all the juice. What you mean? He was staying with the juice.
But you know what I mean.
More juice than Jamba.
So guys, let me ask you this question. PED use, even though it's been less prevalent now because number one, guys are smarter, and number two, the science is ahead of the testing at this point. Like you can get a lot of things without getting caught. And that's been the way for a while. But one thing we've noticed is if you play baseball and you get popped, it hangs over your head forever. Hell, if you don't even get popped, you're just alleged to have been using PEDs.
Because we've got guys who are banned from the Hall of
you forever. However, you play NBA, shout out Paul George. You play in the NFL. Nobody seems to really care too much. Why is that, Rob Parker?
That's a great question. I think baseball's held to a higher standard. It really is. And I think a lot of it has to do with the numbers. Like when the home run record was broken, that was a sacred number. There aren't that many sacred numbers in football or basketball, right? There really aren't. Like, not a number. You could be like LeBron has the all-time scored the most points, but there's no number. Hank Aaron's 755 home runs meant something to people, right? Uh-huh. And I think that's where the numbers in baseball matter so much that people were like, oh, my God, they ruined what I used to know as, that home run number, and now it's tainted, and the guy who has the all-time home run record shouldn't be looked at sideways, and I think that's part of it. Do I think it's fair? No, I don't think it's fair. Because just like Rob G mentioned, Kelvin, Paul George is fresh off of it, and in Philadelphia, they're just waiting for him to get back. Like, okay, nobody's going to look at him crazy or say, do we really want him on the team? You know what I mean? The Sixers, should we really count if they make a playoff run because he was on the – none of that conversation happens at all with Paul George.
Here's a couple of reasons why. Baseball allowed steroids to run rampant and enjoyed the success of it. So to me, what they did was they paired themselves with it, Rob. They intertwined themselves with it.
You mean because like the NBA and gambling? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But that could become a thing eventually. But right now, with the steroids, when you looked at baseball, we saw the resurgence of the popularity. We know the summer of '98, the home run chase. Fast forward a couple years later, you got 2 or 3 years of Barry Bonds. Everybody knows what's going on. We're trying to turn a blind eye, but act like we don't know. And so to me, when baseball, by not nixing it in the bud, stopping it, what they allowed to do was it to get intertwined, wrapped up together. So now you think steroids, you think baseball, you think home runs going out of the park. right? Barry Bonds is hitting them just in. I know he's never been caught, guilty, whatever.
He
but
never tested positive, and he never was suspended. Right.
Never suspended. But we're seeing him hitting him in the cove regularly. Like, that's just not normal, the rate he was doing it, right? And then we already know Sammy Sosa. We already know Mark McGwire, so on and so forth. Jose Canseco came out and was like, man, everybody was stabbing each other in the butt. So I think baseball, again, became the poster child for it when we just, again, it was interwoven with steroids, home runs, baseball. You see it they go hand in hand. I don't have a correlation with NBA. Like, if Paul George was doing steroids, well, I don't know what it made him better. You know what I mean? I don't know what it did. And I'm not saying it doesn't. We don't have something we naturally correlated to. So it's like, hey, Steph Curry's on steroids. It's like, I don't know. Did it make him shoot better? I don't know. I'm just saying that, people, just using it as an example. So when Paul George gets busted for it, there's nothing identifiable that made him better. And I think that's why we don't look at it the same. Football, I think there's just an inherent, you just figure, these dudes are the most tough, Neanderthal, running into each other, body slamming. If they found out they're on steroids, you kind of go, well, that makes sense. You're slamming 250-pound, 300-pound men, slamming into each other for 3.5 hours. That makes sense. And then finally, I think the only other sports we do the same with baseball, I would say cycling, and I would say track. I think those two sports we do the same with baseball, like what we kind of expected. But I will say, again, we don't care because it's for our entertainment purposes.
But here's the thing. Even in the NFL, Antonio Gates is in the Hall of Fame, right? Mm-hmm. Busted. Like, it didn't make people not want to vote for him.
Because logically it makes sense. We go, well, I mean, yeah, it's hard. It's got
but people get suspended for it, so it doesn't make sense.
No, so I know I'm with you, the legislation of it, but logically we go.
Julian Edelman with the Patriots, right? I don't look at him and think of the juice, but he got busted. People are talking about, does he deserve to get in the Hall of Fame? Patrick Peterson, DeAndre Hopkins, even our guy
you
Sean
just named two guys who are going. Patrick Peterson and DeAndre are going in.
Sean Merriman, at one point, I remember that year, he got popped, and then he was up for Defensive Player of the Year. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was a big scare. Like,
remember that?
Like,
it was like, after he got off a suspension, and it's just weird because there are other guys who have gotten busted in the NBA. I think it's more prevalent than people want to admit, and you can't really.
I would agree.
Speculate. I do. I think there are people. Who else? Was there somebody else, Rob G? There was a guy. Was it Rashard Lewis from the Magic?
Well, I have current guys who have been popped. So Paul George this season, Bobby Portis last season, Tristan Thompson washed out of the league after he tested positive. Yep. John Collins currently with the Clippers, and DeAndre Ayton. It was a diuretic. It wasn't a PED.
So let me tell you why, Rob. When you look at that list that Rob G just named, was there an all-star on there? I mean,
Paul George was an all-star.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, aside from Paul George
is a bigger name right now.
Right, but I mean, aside from Paul George, what I mean is, like, that's the difference when you talk baseball. If someone says, again, Barry Bonds, we know he didn't test.
Roger Clemens.
That's Roger Clemens. You're talking about the maybe top 3 pitcher of his generation. Mark McGwire, the best hitters. One of the best hitters. Barry Bonds, arguably in the category of best player ever. Alex Rodriguez, arguably in the best player category of the last 30 years. So you're naming greats, and that's why it became bigger. If you started rattling off Steph Curry, Giannis, LeBron, Jokic.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you telling me something?
I just said if you're throwing out some guys, Jokic, Kawhi Leonard and Chris Paul, then you might be like, ooh, shoot, because you can see the results. Rob G just named a bunch of guys we actually are mad at because we want more from. So, you know what I mean? DeAndre Ayton gets yelled at. They're like, can you at least beat Clint Capella? So
right, wait a minute, Rob G has some more.
They're not the household names, but Hedo Turkoglu, you mentioned Rashard Lewis, Darius Miles.
Was I right about
almost Hemu smacked you right now.
Turkoglu was a key player in a finals team for the Magic.
Don't you remember when they beat when they
Put
stopped
some respect on his name?
They stopped the Kobe LeBron
final. That was Hedo Turkoglu or what a Turkoglu.
Man,
here's one. This wasn't a PED, but they said it was a ban. Shout out to Chris Webber.
See, Webb.
I don't know. I think it might have been the weed on that time. But, like, there have been
don't compare the weed.
There have been guys who have all tested
you are
positive
furthering
for
my
things.
point. Hedo was a perfectly fine, good role player. Like, he could play on my team. He was good. I liked him. He ain't Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Alex Rodriguez, David Big Papi. Who else am I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? Like, look at the list of people. Manny Ramirez. Like, come on, bruh. Andy Pettit. Come on. And these are the guys who just...
So that's all that matters. But to me, it would be like those guys were already good before they got on the juice as well. So,
but I'm saying those are names. And again, I can associate it. People will go, well, Roger Clemens, he must have threw it harder. They'll go clearly, Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa blasting it out the park. I don't know what that did for Hedo Turkoglu. I don't know what that did for DeAndre Ayton. Whatever it is, don't do the opposite. Never do steroids. You might be better. So that's my point. There's a correlation with baseball where I can go, oh, he did that.
So it's just name recognition and their status.
And a correlation to me. He did that. He hit a bunch of home runs. David Big Papi hit a bunch before, but he ain't hit it like that. Once we started to see it, Manny Ramirez was always good, but Manny started to hit harder. Roger Clemens was heck of a pitcher. Boy, he's throwing it harder. So I think the correlation, along with the numbers, I do agree the numbers is huge, right? You're chasing these historical numbers.
Right. I do believe the numbers has something to do with it.
1,000%. All right, Rob, so they're watching us right now, which means another thing they can do is what?
They can subscribe. All you got to do is hit that button, subscribe to The Odd Couple for some of the best sports talk content in the nation.
Facts. And while you're at it, they can like, they can comment, they can share. Do all that for us. We appreciate it. Just do all that right up in here.